Well, president of data transformation and co-founder of Belle Fleur Technologies. And trust me, I don't have the accent to do it. I'm going to bring on Tia. Tia, I'm going to let you do the introduction because I can't pronounce your last name with the accent.
Hello, John. So, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be speaking with you. And thank you to the whole team here. This is a fantastic event. Super excited. reInvent was exciting. But I am the co founder and president of Belle Fleur Technologies. My name is Tia Dubuisson. Yes.
See, I would never do that any justice.
Uh, but I thoroughly appreciate it. So thank you so very much. Super excited to dive into reInvent, recapping any questions that we can answer, and let's go for it.
Okay, Tia. So it's always a pleasure to not only have you on my podcast, but on this event as a guest speaker around optimize your AWS during this awesome fest. Do you like that? Pieced it together nicely. Okay,
Very nice.
let's talk about some of those things for reInvent. What was the most useful in data analytics announcement that you found from reInvent?
Wow, there were so many. It's hard to pinpoint. But I'd have to say probably the one that excited me the most was QuickSight Q. When I think about a lot of our customers, QuickSight Q is not a new feature to QuickSight. It's been there probably over a year now. But as you mentioned, taking what you already have and taking it to the next level, and they took it to the next level. So before, QuickSight Q, if you had the data, you could dive into that data. You could ask your dashboard different questions from a business intelligence standpoint to go and draw out even more insights on top of your insights that were already on your dashboard, right? So,
Ask more
um,
out of your insights on top of your insights. That was pretty
yes.
good.
So now, I think they always gave you the ability of the what, right? What can you pull out of that bag of insights? What other data what other insights can you pull out of that data? And that you have. But now you can ask it why questions, which is pretty cool. So it's not just the what, but now it can dive into the data and actually using the AI there to say, why are you seeing what you're seeing? Why are you seeing
Wait
that
a
particular
second.
insight?
Wait. I don't mean to jump in there, but I'm thinking to myself that you can ask it questions. Can you do Alexa, I have a question for QuickSight?
Yes, you can. You can literally, I mean, you can type it if you
Are
would
you
like.
serious?
You could type it if you like, but what I like is that they know where the market is. I mean, think about our kids. Our kids, my kids especially, they do not text. I mean, they think that is so old school. They would rather talk to every device and anything, around, and it should understand them. And so the fact that, AWS put that at the top of the list is pretty cool. That you could also then speak. It's voice activated as well. So I think that's just more inclusive. So I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I want to do that. Oh, we got to have some fun. I want to ask it. Okay. So you found this one of the most valuable adds to QuickSight is Q basically being able to ask it more in-depth questions and grab some insights.
Absolutely. And we are in the process of adding it to every dashboard we have in our service catalog. So
Way to go. I like it that when it's released, you're automatically on top of it and adding it to all the dashboards for your customers to be able to interact with it and get the most out of this new release.
absolutely. So my team was there. They went to all of the hands-on workshops for QuickSight, interacted with the team. We had a meeting with them after reInvent to kind of have a QuickSight Q lab, if you will. And so now we are primed and ready to include that in our roadshow for 2023 for all of our customers.
Ah, nice. I like that. Stay tuned for more information on the roadshow and the things that are happening around Bellflower Technologies. Okay, Tia, I have to ask you there were actually three main things that I captured released for Quick Sites. Q was one of them, the pageant reporting, and then the other
Mhm.
is the expanded APIs.
Yes.
With the expanded APIs, the value of adding these additional ones for accessing your quick sites and your data, I think these were things that were needed, right? These are things and features that were released that allowed you to do more within QuickSight and the capabilities.
Correct. And we see that more and more with our customers, right? Um, they want to be able to access now that, data is all the rage and everybody's ready to dive in. We can do more than a terabyte, without everybody getting all excited. They recognize they have, I mean, even, SMBs. It doesn't matter the size of the organization. There are some startups that have zettabytes of data. So it's not necessarily the size of the org, but it really is how far do you want to press the boundary of digital transformation? And digital transformation, if we face it, is being driven by data. The more that you dive into the data, the more of the digital transformation that you're actually grabbing a hold of and really taking advantage of to really command your destiny, right? And your future around what digital transformation really encompasses. It's really doing that data assessment. What do we actually have? What haven't we been using? How could we be using it? How do we govern it? How do we secure it? And how do we make it self-service? So that we can take advantage of it to really capture more market share and really do more, not only internally, but externally for our customers.
Tia, talk to me a little bit more about visualizing your data for the data transformation and how that really relates to optimizing your AWS. I mean, I could answer that in a little bit of a way of just saying, seeing your data as value and data is king to see the optimization results. But I really want to know what you think with regards to these features added for optimizing maybe even your environments or the information that you're receiving.
I would say at the end of the day, data is most useful when it saves you some sort of time or it relieves some sort of headache around a pain point. Case in point, you're seeing a lot of auto manufacturers at this time, they're diving into the data pool. Now, our cars have been pulling data for a very long time. How fast you're driving, where do you go, your fill ups, warranties, all that good stuff. Now, I'm going to stop at warranty. I still get calls on a car that I haven't owned for over a decade. So if we could,
Would you like to extend your car warranty? I don't have that car
we've all
anymore.
had
That's all
those
right.
calls. We've all had those calls. And so, they've actually generated other companies like RoboKiller to try to stop those calls because but what if we could go to the source of the issue? Which means if the auto manufacturer that actually sold you the car to begin with, or the auto dealer in the middle that actually passed that car on to you, were able to then share that data and understand from a DMV standpoint that you've already signed that title over to someone else, they could stop contacting you. Now, whether they contact the someone else, that's a different data move and a different data business, decision to make. But it's one that could be made, and it's one that could offer a lot more intelligence to those car manufacturers and also, your local car dealer that actually sold the car to you. And it would be less headache for you. You no longer have to have all these blocking apps to try to block, these random people that bought some list that you don't even own the car for more than a decade. So you see a lot of that still, a lot of intelligence is needed, right, in the market across all industries. I don't want to just tap auto. That was just a simple way of we all have probably had a car and probably had a phone call like that. But helping our customers that maybe they have other pain points that we don't have that are sitting at their desk, wrangling data, how do we automate that before we even get to insight? So there's a whole lot of things you can do and a whole lot of other ways that you can interact, right, with the serverless that they also mentioned at reInvent, right, that actually build out that data pipeline even before you get to the intelligence that really integrate with those tools in a way that can really just help the entire organization. It's not just the end business users, it's across every organizational unit, including IT. When you look at the integration of OpenSearch with QuickSight, that's pretty huge because now you're looking at all of the log data, all of that data that maybe no one looks at it beyond IT. But guess what? When something goes wrong, they're calling IT for root cause analysis. They usually have to dumpster dive between all these different dashboards that they have from all these different on-premise systems and this system to even get to the data. And then once they get to the data, you have to kick off this whole process to do root cause analysis. to even get back and say, okay, this is what happened, and inform everyone this is how it's not going to happen again, and then write it into your new playbook, right, or Roam book. So now being able to utilize OpenSearch across all those different, you know, data sources that feed in the back end data that is not interesting to the outside consumer. But guess what? If you're not able to buy, utilize a service or product and it goes down, that company has to answer for that. And you want them to answer in the quickest way possible. And so I think that looking at not just business intelligence, but also operational analytics that they are looking at building out services for that were released at reInvent is huge. That's a game changer because now you're solving pain points on the consumer side, but also internally as a company. And if you keep your internal customers, your employees happy, no doubt your external customers will be taken care of.
Tia, we've had a number of conversations with regards to your internal customers and how important they are. I
Mm.
have to kind of jump in. By the way, I like the chat that's happening in the gifts, Lakeisha. That was really funny. We're trying to contact you about your car insurance warranty. That was perfect. A good ad for it. But I think the time and money that they're saving by having this information automatically available to them and saying that, now, obviously, with the understanding that you've opted in for them to transfer your data and say, I'm no longer part of this. I've sold this car. Now contact somebody else who owns this car who has opted into being contacted. So I'm not contacting you who don't have it. And I've just spent, 5-10 minutes of my time. I now have the data to visually see it. I had I got something funny for you. reInvent happens exactly, right before the rodeos in town in Vegas. I think AWS new feature or a miss that they want to do is the data wrangler. We're rodeoing
Oh,
your data, right? But
yeah.
uh, I think that would have been perfect. They could have tied in there with all the ads, and the wrangler could have been in there, and that would be a great sponsor for it. So, Tia, let me jump over a little bit. I told you, you never know what's going to happen for this one. Let me jump over to a thing. Let me ask you this next question is what are some of the greatest challenges in reaching those goals where data and analytics is going to be over the next few years?
I would say it's exactly what you see now, which is the talent gap. Um, right now, I think they're doing a fantastic job at the bleeding edge of innovation, really, as you said, optimizing current features to really make them more and more like a commodity and less where you have to develop from a blank page or really, really go really deep into the weeds to actually integrate services to make a solution. I think Richard mentioned it before. Now you're seeing solutions being offered as services. And you also alluded to that, John. And I think that that's where it's headed, right? Where you'll see more solution selling and less service by service a la carte infrastructure conversations. Um, that way, customers, I think, can kick the tires on an entire solution, prove it out before investing in additional, headcount or training or whatever is needed to incubate that. But I think you'll see more solutions moving towards, or at least starting more complete, and then you kind of can build on that. So I think you'll see from a workforce standpoint, we'll have to take a look at what's the right mixture of junior, mid-level, and senior level talent to actually build out solutions for our customers with this mixture of commoditized solution, selling that we'll be doing with some of the services that are being offered as whole solutions or, almost whole, and then maybe using that senior talent to fill in some of those gaps, right, for some of the things that are maybe not so welded together and for customers that need a little bit more flexibility, right, in the solutioning. So I think the talent gap is still a challenge. I think we still need to make sure that we're giving access, allowing access. I think for HR departments, we need to take a look at, some of those more rigid standards for bringing people in, and I think we need to diversify from a diversified, thought process. How can you then even build the talent pipeline and especially that junior level, right? And what does that look like? Does it have to be a computer science degree, which is highly respected? My husband has one. I highly regard them. You still need computer scientists. I am not saying that. But I think for some of the solutions that you see and where you see a lot of what cloud providers are doing, like AWS, in building out solutions, and then how can we bring on reskill, upskill, retrain individuals to be able to handle the more commoditized side of cloud and where it's going, and then make that a handshake with some of the more senior talent where you probably will need, someone who can go very deep into the weeds to actually build out the art of possible for those customers all the way 100% end to end.
I think it's very key to invest in your internal customers, like you mentioned, and not only those who are up and coming, but if you think about it, the skills gap is very important for optimizing any type of environment, whether it's AWS internal or not. You can always optimize your, company's environment, right? Investing in those and in the future, and I think that's very critical. And we've noticed that AWS has taken the skills gap very seriously and invested billions of dollars in helping those educate and retrain, from the restart to the free education to Deep Racer University. Everything has been very key. Now, Tia, and we've got just enough time for one more question. I told you this time goes really quick talking about it. And that's why we kind of do it either joined or after. I do love that everybody's jumping in there and making some comments, some questions, some gifts. And yes, to those who mentioned that dad jokes are free and a requirement for this show, we've got plenty of them. Tia, my question from the audience is, and feel free if you can't answer, you want to go back, whatever it is what do you think about AWS moving towards a zero ETL future?
A zero ETL future, I think it's going to simplify a lot of solutioning. I think that's where it can get. That's where you need your computer scientists. That's where you need more of your senior talent to kind of dive in and make sure that ETL is running smoothly, making sure from a performance standpoint things are going very well. So I think it's interesting. If they're going to a no ETL future, I'd like to see what that looks like. I think that will help to accelerate getting to that end goal of actually giving the insights, the intelligence, and optimizing in the areas where you see CEOs, CFOs, and heads of boards are actually making decisions about tomorrow, today. So I would like to see it. I think that would be fantastic. It would be interesting. I think we spend a lot of time with ETL, so definitely we'll be keeping our eyes on that, and trying to be a part of that conversation as it's moving forward.